Everyone, I'm Linda Nickel, and I wanted to welcome you back for our 9th Happiness Hour. I'm not really sure how we got here, but we are here. When I decided to host these Zoom meetings or meetups, I thought we'd do these for a couple of weeks, and I'd run out of people to ask favors from. But I am excited to tell you, I'm really just thrilled that as of about an hour and a half ago, I booked somebody for January. So we have people lined up to speak through the first week of January. So some of the topics that we're going to cover are, I've got landscape photographers, people that do long exposure. I've got an astrophotographer that's in queue. We're going to do macro, time-lapse, videography, and I even have a celebrity photographer. So to supplement that, I'm going to bring in, last week Michael Rung was here, and he shared a bunch of his tips and tricks with Lightroom. And so I'm going to have somebody come in and do some Photoshop techniques with you for us. So I'm hoping to cover a little bit of everything. So on Tuesdays, I'll post the lineup on my Instagram page at Cousin Linda, and you can tag your friends there, let them know, hey, this thing's going on. If you want to join, please, tell them to come. And this is the first time you've joined us. You can check out our past sessions on YouTube. Just look for Cousin Linda's Happiness Hour. Keep in mind, they're very informal and they're very unpolished, because I say a lot. But one of the reasons I love doing these sessions is to connect with new people and introduce you to new people. So if you'll add your Instagram or your website or and where you're from in the chat line, everyone can see those, and there's a good chance that you guys might be already following each other on Instagram. You do not have to be on Instagram to join us. You don't have to be on Facebook, or this is for everybody. So if you know a budding photographer that would benefit from some of these sessions, please tell them to join us. If you're a workshop instructor or a teacher, or you've got a skill set that you'd like to share with other people, hit me up. You can reach me at cousinlinda@gmail.com or through my Instagram, and let's talk and let's see if we can fit you into the schedule. So the lady at the controls is Erin Randall. So if you hear a lot of Erin this or Erin that, that's who she is. And she's going to keep you all on mute so that we kind of don't have any interruptions while Jama's doing her presentation. So next week, our guest will be Shari Hunt, who is watching, and hopefully she'll wave a little bit. Shari is obsessed with the night sky, and I found her on Instagram last year and reached out to her and said, you know, what I'd like to do is do a little workshop for women. I run an Instagram page called Texas Through Her Lens, and I wanted to take some women out to a dark sky. And if they hadn't ever learned how to shoot the Milky Way, I wanted them to learn it, to see it, to experience that. So she and I took 8 women out to Fort Griffin, and that is one of the prettiest places to stargaze in Texas. It's a dark sky. It's amazing. We started at sunset, and we watched the Milky Way rise, and we stayed up through sunrise. And there were 8 of us, and in addition to me and Shari, so 10 of us together. Only one person called a timeout for a nap, and I'm pretty sure she was the youngest one in the group. It was a fantastic experience, and if you'll notice, I don't have a picture of her up. Erin, do you have those slides up? Erin? Uh-oh. I'm sorry. Hopefully that's up.
Are you not seeing the slides? I'm sharing them.
I'm not seeing them, but let me look real quick. Are you guys, well, they can't tell me. Can y'all nod? Can you see them? Okay, great. Thank you. That was my mess up. So if you'll notice, I don't have a picture of Shari because that was a hot, sticky, stinky experience. And I have a lot of pictures of her, but she would probably strangle me, and I wouldn't blame her if I posted any of those. So she'll be here next week, and you'll get to hear from her firsthand. Her presentation is going to be called Milky Way Hunting for Beginners. So if you guys are already seasoned Milky Way chasers, you're still welcome to join us. And hopefully, she can share something that you may not already know. So this week's guest is Jama Pantel. Jama was the very first person that stood up and said, I'll go first. So she did our first presentation on the happiness hour. And she is an Austin-based portrait photographer, a dedicated marathon runner, and the only person that I know that has been featured by the New York Times. So you need to go to her website and find that article. And you can also link through her YouTube channel there. So she has been posting how-to videos there. So tonight's presentation is called Strike a Pose. And with her help, we will all be pros at the ultimate professional selfie. So in the chat line, if you have any questions for Jama, if you'll put them there, and I'll do my best to get them in front of her. So with that, Jama, I'm going to pass it on to you.
Okay, thank you. And like I said, the rain and thunder and everything is coming down on top of me right now, so it might get a little loud, and I hope y'all don't lose me. Let me see if I can share screen with you guys.
One of the things too, I should have mentioned, if you guys are you have an option for gallery view, which you'll see all of us in the little Brady Bunch grids, or if you can choose speaker view, it'll be easier for you to see Jama's screen, and that's at the top right. Okay, you're good. Are you there, Jama?
Yeah, I'm here. Can y'all hear me?
I
Oh,
can't. Here we go.
Does that work?
Perfect.
Okay.
Can you put that on full screen?
Yeah, hold on just a sec. For some reason it's started. Let's see, can I put it on full screen?
It might be. You might be there.
Yeah, I think I'm there.
Okay.
Okay, so I will try not to talk as fast as I normally do. I get nervous talking in front of people, but fortunately right now I can only see Linda and Matt and Joy. Hi guys.
Hi.
So Strike a Pose by me, Jama Pantel Photography, jamapantel.com, by Jama Pantel personal Instagram account. I'm just starting to grow my business Instagram account. Y'all are more than welcome to follow both, but you don't have to, so I'm here. So for today's presentation, the main topics that we'll be talking about, lighting and location. Last time I did a presentation on lighting, so I won't go in depth on that, but always keep that in mind. It plays a huge part in getting these good selfies, getting these good pictures. You need good light. When I asked a couple weeks back about questions people had, them were how to not feel awkward in front of the camera, which I get quite a bit in my business anyway, so I will talk about that. A lot of people that are joining are small businesses. Your face is your brand. You want to be comfortable in front of the camera and connect you with your audience. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then the majority of what we'll be talking about are poses for your best selfie. So as Linda mentioned a little bit about me, I'm owner photographer, Jama Pantel Photography, family portrait artist here in Austin, Texas, New York. And I have over 20 years experience behind the camera, in studio, natural light, everything else. And I love art for your home. That is, as you can see, that is what I try. A little story with y'all. My external hard drive yesterday, I have lost all digital pictures I've had for the past, from 2008 till 2019. I'm working on getting that backed up, but if you have it printed, generally it's safer than technology. Technology is always changing. The things I have in college, I don't have anymore. Unless you have it printed, it won't last. And also I do business headshots and branding. I'm a small business owner myself. I know how important it is to have these images for your social media, for selling yourself, putting your best face forward. So that is another part of my business and something that I provide. Posing success, you want to build your confidence. That's a lot of times in your own head. Set a game plan of what you want to achieve by taking these pictures, and then pose with authority. So, oops. Location, like I said, I talked about that last time. You always want to have good light. Consider the location you're using and make sure the light is ideal for that location. Large windows, if you don't have that, a very inexpensive ring light for next to nothing. Also, you want to try to clear the clutter around you. You want people focused on you in the picture, not so much everything else behind you, although I don't always take my own advice and have a bunch of stuff behind me. So if you have any questions or anything like that, I can't answer them later, but I'm gonna just, like I said, skip over that pretty fast because I talked about it in more detail last time. So how to not be awkward in front of the camera. This could probably be a whole class in and of itself, but posing is what more people want to hear about. So the simple answer, get out of your own head. I know it's easier said than done. We all have, our own hangups in our head about everything else, but I promise you it's not as bad as you think. If you tell yourself in your head, I'm going to perform an action, and you perform that action, you start thinking about that instead of what you're doing. So for this picture here, I'm going to walk towards this bridge. I'm going to put my arm up. Off, you smile, you pose. You walk through this in your head, and it takes your mind off of what you're actually doing. I am the queen of the fake laugh. Throw your head back and laugh, and a lot of times it looks very natural, believe it or not. My favorite tip in the world, hold something. Everybody asks, what do I do with my hands? You hold something. Mine is generally my camera. It's like our shield. We hide behind it. I hide behind my camera. I'm always holding that camera. So hold something. I know for all the other business owners out there, the tools of your trade, your makeup brushes, your pencils, your crayon, there's flowers, anything. There's a billion things out there that you can hold. And pretend, fake that confidence, fake it until you make it. I promise with enough practice, you will get better at it. And then smile or not smile, if that's your thing too. Everything. It's very rare you will catch a picture of me not smiling. I've posted plenty of my running pictures that were taken of me where I am actually smiling in the picture. I always know where the camera is, and I'm always smiling for it. So my go-to tip for this fake smile, you do it, you naturally form a smile, and I do it all the time in my pictures. I do it subconsciously these days, but if you do it, it just naturally brings a smile. And another thing, think happy thoughts. If you go into it, yesterday I had a really, really bad day and finding out how much that was going to cost, and I had to get that out of my head and think happy thoughts so I could work on this presentation for you guys and get this finalized and ready for y'all. So with clients, I say for your posing couples, ask them to, when they start thinking about these things, they get out of their head and they, ignore the camera on them, and they get more into the zone and what they're doing, and it brings out those natural smiles and stuff like that. So just think happy thoughts, have a storage bank in your head of happy thoughts, and those will be your go-tos. And connection, your website, your reputation. Your face is your brand is your reputation, and you want it to be meaningful, whether it's your website, your social media, whatever. All of us are on social media because we're here today. We are a brand. Whether or not, we're all a brand, and whatever we put out there is how people respond to us, how we resonate with other people and stuff like that. So you want to put goodness out there, you'll get goodness back in. Comfortable atmosphere. When you're creating pictures in a place, results. I my clients love photographing in their own homes, in their backyard. They're comfortable in those places. They're able to relax more and be themselves and everything else. Find your happy place. That's where you want to take these. You're muted, Linda.
I see it.
Okay.
There you are. You're cutting out just a little bit. I don't know if that's me or you. So let's just keep going. But
Yeah, okay.
You're cutting
It sounds
out.
like the storm's passing. My power was flickering for a
Okay.
little bit, so I apologize for that.
Yeah, that you can't control.
No, it sounds like it's moving away, but I flickered on me.
It's coming right over my house now. So.
Yeah. So then connect with your audience. I can't stress this enough. When you have strong images, it better helps you to connect with your audience. They'll respond better.
I think we may have lost you again.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I didn't hear a thing the last 2 minutes. Do you mind repeating that?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. So connect with your audience, I think is where y'all lost me. Number 3, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can't stress this enough. When you have strong audience, and that will help you grow your audience. Whether you like it or not, like I said, this is your brand. You're on social media. You're growing your audience, or you're finding people to follow. You'll follow who you like that way. Okay. And I have examples of this, so I'll talk in a little bit more detail when I get to those pictures. But the basics of it: angles, low camera angles, shooting up. It doesn't look good. Make sure your camera is at face level, or a little, generally speaking, a little bit higher is the best, most flattering angle. And that's where you want set your camera, your phone, whatever you're taking. The neck. Move your chin up and out a little bit. And I know it sometimes feels awkward, but I promise you it gives you those flattering lines that you want. You don't want the double chin look. Nobody like this. Sit correctly. Are y'all there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're breaking up just a little bit, but let's just try to push through it.
Sorry.
No.
So sit correctly. So if you're sitting down, generally you want to cross your feet at your ankles. It creates long, slim legs instead of like if you cross them like you normally would when you're comfortable and you sit. It shows a lot of thigh, and that might not flattering look for a lot of people. What to wear, and this is huge. Avoid bulky or baggy, and I am guilty of this. I wear baggy t-shirts all day, every day, but for pictures, you don't want to do that. You want to wear something that's slim fitted, cinched at the waist, that kind of, and that fits. If you go a size too small and it cinches the waist, that will also be unflattering. So make sure you get your size. You can fix all of the posing and angles when we talk about that a little bit more with that, but get something that's fitted and your size. Darker colors are more slimming. Black is very slimming. I tend to wear a lot of black. If you like bright colors, go for it. Just don't wear something that's too distracting that takes away from your face. And nobody looks good in horizontal stripes unless you're 5 years old or younger. So avoid this way if you want to look tall and lean, I guess. I don't know. But those are some simple tips on what to wear. And also I can go into a lot more detail about that and probably a whole other post on what to wear, but that's the simple gist of that. And so the different poses: posture. If you're standing, twist your body to an angle slightly, shift your weight to the back foot, put a hand on the hip, in a pocket, something like that. You never want them at your side, it adds bulk to you. You want that separation. If you squeeze it up against your side, it's going to fatten you up. If you have separation, it looks a lot slimmer. Push your shoulders back, down, relaxed, and angled. Like I said, and don't forget that neck out too. So if you're seated in a stool pose, sit flat on the stool, butt bottom. I think I use the word bottom in here, but I'll say butt, flat on the stool. 1 foot. Pictures of these I'll show you in a second. It'll make more sense. 1 foot a little bit higher, the knees shifted towards the camera. Let's see. Stick to the middle. And so this is more important if you're shooting with a wide angle, if you're in groups and stuff like that. If you're on the outside of stick to the middle. It's a more flattering angle. So the armchair seated pose, you'll slightly, I'll do it on my office chair. So the chair's here, slightly on your hip towards the camera. You can play with your legs, cross them at the ankles, even though you helps create your core, your body angle, so you can do your body straight on, do it angled, rest your arms, stuff like that, and different things. And I'll talk about hand poses in a little bit, but different things to do with your hands when you're posing and doing all that. Head and shoulders, head tilt, head back down, relaxed. Head tilt, you can lean it towards the camera or away from the camera. Generally speaking, the feminine tilt is towards the camera, so it's not recommended for guys. Guys is the masculine tilt towards the back shoulder, but that works for both guys and girls. Shoulders relaxed, stuff like that. And then have fun. That's the thing most. If you, like I said, get out of your head and you just have fun and enjoy it, it'll go a lot smoother. It'll be a lot easier. So let's look at some of those common. Oh, the standing pose. So in this one, I'm standing clearly. So I'm leaning forward. My weight's shifted. My arms are away from my side. I'm holding something to keep my hands occupied. And I literally did the up thing and came down and just caught it where I needed to catch it. And it's as simple as that. The standing poses are some of the easier ones. If you're uncomfortable in front of the camera, start with a standing pose and kind of get yourself more comfortable with it and stuff like that. You know, they're standing and leaning on things, stuff like that. Generally, if you're leaning on something, you're a little more confident or comfortable, relaxed, and stuff like that. And that also helps with your posing. That's another little trick. So I chop my head off in this so you can see what I'm doing, where I've got my hands crossed on the chair in front of me, shoulders leaned, head tilted, you know, relaxed, head tilted. My legs are out to the side, crossed at the angles, which you can't see in here, but I promise they are, and it helps frame your core. Like I said, you won't always show the full body, but it helps frame your core when you do this. I'm turned 45 degrees to the camera in that one. My shoulders are down, relaxed. My hands are crossed here. You can cross them, which is more common when you're in the standing pose, not so much the sitting pose, but there's a million different things you can do with hands and posing on that. So then we'll go with the stool, the seated stool pose. You can see I'm sitting flat on my butt. I've got 1 foot down, 1 foot slightly higher. So my knees aren't at the same angle. I'm slightly, my knees are shifted a little bit. Holding the camera to keep my hands occupied so I don't feel awkward. Shoulders down, relaxed, head tilted towards the front shoulder. Laughing at my ridiculous self because I can see myself because I'm using my camera as my remote and I can see myself on there, and that's entertaining to me. So I laugh at myself when I do this, but I'm doing it. And then I hid the camera in my pocket, and that's what you don't see in the picture, but it's hidden really quick because I set it on a 10-second timer so I can capture all these, which I'll talk about that a little bit more too, but that's how I get all of these. And so that's your seated stool pose. And there are...
So Jama, real quick. So all of the shots that you're doing, you're shooting all of them on a self-timer, right?
Yes, I am. So okay. I'm using self-timer. I put it for 10 seconds. 2 seconds doesn't give me enough time to hide my camera. Most of your cell phones have a 10-second self timer too. So if you're using your phone, set it on that self timer. Also flip the screen so you can see what you're doing when you're using your cell phone to take these pictures. Like I said, Canon and Nikon both have apps. If you're using a camera that has the Wi-Fi capabilities and all of that, there is an app for both Canon and Nikon. You can use it as the remote, and you can see the picture on your camera, and that's how you focus on yourself and everything else. If you're using your cell phone for it, all of these cell phones have self timers on it. Like I said, flip the screen so you can see what you're doing and see how you're posing and stuff like that. Do the 10-second self timer. Before you hit it, think about what you're going to do with your hands, how you're going to pose, do all that, get everything else. So the last thing you do is pose your hands and put them where they need to go.
Yeah, I think it's one of these, do we race? It's kind of like, it's one of those things that we all get stuck with. Okay, we know we've got 2 seconds and we're not setting long enough times for us to get from point A to point B and compose. So, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. 10 seconds. Like I said, plan it out in your head. You can see what you're doing. Get there. Put my hands in position is the last thing I generally do because I'm hiding my camera behind me, or my cell phone behind me or wherever else, and doing whatever. So give yourself time. I know the longer you go, the more you think about it, and you're staring at the camera.
Okay.
It gives you the time to do everything, and you get good pictures and everything. And so hand poses, and these are just a couple of them. And you can see I clearly laugh at myself when I'm doing this stuff. And I did all of these myself. This is a selfie thing. I promise you, it's harder to do it yourself. My number one tip is always hire a professional. But if you can't, you can do these yourself and laugh at yourself and have fun like I did. So there's a million variations of hand poses. So the 2-hand lean, I'm leaning into it. Do not press your hand up against your face. That's not flattering. Soft and gentle and sweet like this, not like this. So the thinking or thoughtful pose, there's a lot of variations of this. You can do a number of things. For women, it's generally considered more flattering if you show the side of your hand, a couple fingers. You don't want them stiff, bent at 90-degree angles, bent at the knuckles. You want them loose, fluid, dangling.
Okay.
Pose like that. So the masculine generally is the fist facing forward. And women can do it too, but generally speaking, it's considered a masculine pose. And it's a very popular man pose, if you will. And then like holding your neck, you can do it either way. You do the running your hands through your hair type thing. There's, framing your face. There's so many different things you can do with your hands, and it might feel really awkward doing it, but I promise it photographs well. And anytime I tell people this, I immediately then show them the back of the camera, and they're like, oh, wow, that's really, really pretty. I'm like, trust me. I'll just do what I tell you to do with your hands, and the result will be really, really pretty. As awkward as you feel doing. You're standing, leaning on something, everything else. Mm-hmm.
So,
do you have a question?
I do. I'm going to stop you because I don't want to get too far. I just want some clarification for Deborah. She says if she's using a non-phone camera to take the photo, how is she setting herself up? What is she looking at? Are you tethered to a laptop?
So like a point and shoot type camera, or what?
No, I think she's just wanting to know what you're using.
So
if you're using a non-phone camera, I'm guessing.
If I'm not using my cell phone where I can see it. So get creative. Before I had the Wi-Fi technology and everything else, you can set up your phone and see reverse the camera on it, and you can see what you're doing. I have focused on, so if you measure your height from your eyes down to your butt, if you're doing a sitting pose, if you put something on whatever you're sitting on, measure it up and put it right there and focus on that. And then you move that and you timer, move it, and you go sit there. That's how you focus. It's really hard to do, but I've done that plenty of times before I got the technology to see myself and do it myself. So I put something where I'm going to be sitting and focus on, usually it's my Kauai rooster or something like that. And I put it on books, put it on my camera bag, put it on a suitcase, whatever you need to do to get it to that height. Like I said, you can be creative in all of this. I've got the technology nowadays to do all this that I don't have to get as creative anymore. But there are so many ways you can do this, and I've done it all. And that's why I say hire a professional, because it's hard doing it that way.
Like you've used a phone for some of the shots here, and then for a non-phone camera for others. I guess her question is, does she have a preferred camera for a selfie?
I use my Canon 5D Mark IV for my selfies. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see my feet more than my face in just about anything. I am not a traditional selfie person. I never have been. I don't do it that way. If you see a picture of me running, which is rare, it's set up on my cell phone, post it or put up on something, leaning on something. I'm not doing it, this way. But my big camera takes all my selfies.
Yeah. And so you're using an app for your camera from your phone to trick.
Canon Camera Connect is what it's called, and I forget what the Nikon version is called, but if you go to the App Store, it will control any Canon camera or Nikon camera that has the Wi-Fi capabilities. It's not specific to my camera.
Yeah, I think it's called Nikon WMU. It's just an app that comes in, and she may not be using either one of those, but most cameras these days with the technology, they've got their own apps. So yeah. I would look for that, and that allows you to trigger your.
It is. It does, and I also have Canon has I don't know where my camera bag is. Has a little remote shutter clicker.
Yep.
Cameras should have one of those. Sony's got them. Nikon, Olympus, everybody's got them.
Yeah. She's got an Olympus mirrorless, so she's gonna look for the app. So,
yeah, look for the app. If you've got the Wi-Fi, there's got to be an app for it where you can trigger it for sure.
And Deborah, if you get in a bind and you do find it and you still don't really understand how to use it, shoot an email or reach out to Jama on her Instagram. Just private message her. She can walk you through that.
I can walk you through it. I've played with most camera brands many times throughout my career, so I can figure out and read most of them.
I love this.
Give me a second, but I know where.
Yeah, I'm laughing because Gil just wrote, he says, awesome, I just downloaded the app and took my first photo using my phone. He's very excited.
Yay. See, I told you it works. And the camera lingo, I know how to use it to take it. If you don't understand that, I can read through all that and explain it to you in a lot easier terms and layman's terms, if you will. So if you need help, reach out to me. I will help anybody with anything. Ask Gil, I help him all the time. And so we are getting towards the end of it. Like I said, there's a million things you can do with your hands, with your posing and everything else. I tried to keep it short, sweet, and simple, and things that are easier and more natural for you to remember. And then I'll go into more detail when I get to the end of this about your brand, holding things in your pictures and that kind of stuff. So general posing tips: let your personality shine. Don't criticize yourself and get in your head. That's when you start thinking about it and everything else. Just let your personality show. That's what your audience wants to connect to. I will be the first to say I'm the biggest dork. Like, I am not afraid to laugh at myself and post ridiculous pictures of myself. I'm sure y'all have seen them. So comfort equals confidence. The more comfortable you are, the more grounded your body language becomes, the more of the camera. And it speaks to people so much more than if you, like I said, thinking too much. So just be comfortable with what you're doing. Like I said, if you aren't comfortable doing all this, do it at home. Don't do it in a coffee shop or, anywhere else. Do it at home when nobody's around. So the only person laughing at you is yourself, which there's nothing wrong with that. You can take a million of them, and all you need is, that one good one. And I'll go back up and show y'all some examples of what I mean. You can take a million to get the one. And then basically your posing tools: your hands, your body, and your expression. That's what you use to pose. That's, generally everything you can think of. And like I said, let me show you I'm talking about. I take pictures for my brand all the time. I get clients pictures in. I want to take them before I wrap them up and deliver them to my clients. It took me a million shots, a million captures to get this one picture. You know, I had one light set up. Balance it out. I was trying to, because I'm up against the wall, if I focus on the picture, I'm out of focus. So I had to adjust my f-stop so it wasn't so shallow so I could get both in focus. I probably did about 50 takes to get this one shot. It's, like I said, this is really difficult to do. If you have someone to press a shutter for you, it's so much easier. But when you're doing it by yourself, it's possible. It takes time. It's time consuming, but it gets the job done. So all of you that, you know, have businesses where you're trying to brand stuff, your face doesn't have to be in all of the pictures by any means to speak for your brand. I was hired to do some product work for a company over quarantine. I was the model and the photographer on it. I chopped my face out of all of it because they didn't want my, you know, need my face in every single picture. But so on it, pose myself in front of it. Like I said, I think on this one I used my little trigger because it was easier to hide, and posed myself in front of it and took the picture. And it only took me 2 shots or so to get this. The more practice you have at it, the easier full setup like this. They all don't have to be as complex as the other one of me trying to hang that picture on the wall when you get reflections off of everything. That's a little more complicated. So keep it simple. Like I said, use that natural window light. If you're a brand and you're taking pictures of your tools of the trade, stuff like that. Some other easy ones, your hands holding your coffee cup. I mean, the majority of us drink coffee, tea all day. That, you know, I guarantee your audience will relate to that. Those are easy images of yourself, selfies to get, stuff like that. Working on your computer. I don't have them on here, but I have pictures of me working on the computer with one hand taking, you know, I have one hand on the computer and I've got the camera up taking it with the other hand and and stuff like that. There's so many different ways you can do it. I did this whole entire series of images for this company with myself and as the photographer. You have to be creative, use what you've got, think outside the box, and you'll make it happen. I think that's about all I've got. If y'all have any questions.
So if you guys have any questions, run into the chat really quick and let's see if we can't get her to take advantage of the speaker. That's what I like to do is like, she's here, she's trapped. We have a few more minutes, so if there's anything that you guys, and I have to apologize, I think we did have some sound issues, and that's something we couldn't control with the weather, and we're kind of you know, stuck with Zoom. So can you talk about your ring light again?
Okay, so I've got this handy dandy little ring light that lights me up. You can go off of Amazon and order a ring light for next to nothing. I have set up this ring light to do my faux studio portraits. I have studio background, all that. Sometimes it's easier to get out the light than it is to set up studio lights or set up a speed light. This specific one does color adjustment, so I can adjust warmth or cool. If I'm also using natural light from a window and say it's, you know, a really warm day, I can counterbalance that with this, but I didn't pay much for it. You can find them on Amazon for next to nothing. They're super easy. They come with a tripod and a little adapter to put your cell phone in there or your camera in there. And I linked to that last time. It is up on my website still, and I can, you know, reach out to me if you have questions. I can totally tell you which one I got, if that helped you. And it's very easy to use. Natural light and outdoors, it's a lot easier to do a lot of this stuff because the sun's your light source. A lot of my studio lights are speed lights. I have studio lights, but speed lights just for me are so much easier, and that's what I use for a lot of these setups and stuff.
So Gil has a question. He wants to know, can you autofocus with the phone app?
Yes, or autofocus. You can, so you touch on the phone screen where you want to focus. So obviously you always want to focus on the eyes. Touch on the screen, like where your eyes are or your face is on your screen showing. Touch on that and it'll focus your camera.
Okay. Okay.
And
All
if,
right.
if you don't have the camera in focus,
Oops. Sorry. Can you repeat?
exactly where you're going to be in focus? Repeat
So,
that.
yeah, repeat that, would you?
Touch it on your phone. Touch your face on your phone. Basically, your phone will be what is on your camera, whatever it'll be showing on your phone. So touch your eyes, touch your face on the phone, and it'll focus on that spot. If you're trying to get your face in focus, maybe you want your face blurred, I don't know. whatever you want focus, touch that.
So I think Amazon's going to get this really weird rush on ring lights, because I think there's a couple of people that are going to be looking for their Amazon Prime to make some deliveries.
All right. And so it's very simple. I set it up directly in front of one direction light or whatever, but it hides your flaws like crazy if you have your light head on. If you have it angled to the side or something like that, it will show your wrinkles or whatever else. So if you're trying to hide all that, put it head on. It fills in all those shadows and stuff like that on your face, and it helps it. I think on this picture, I have my light set up to the side, and you can see one side of my eyes have no wrinkles, and the other side you can see it, and that's the light and shadow and stuff like that. And so playing with lights and shadows is another thing to make.
Mm-hmm. And that's a fairly large ring light, though, isn't it?
For this one is not the ring light. No, I used speed light and a studio setup for this one. This is not a ring light one. My hard drive went down. The ring light pictures I had were on that, not on. Everything you saw here just about was shot in the last 2 days that I did really, really quick for you guys for purposes. I had other pictures I was going to use of different things I've done to show more of it, but I had to do everything in the last 2 days. Sorry, guys. This was shot with studio lighting.
Okay. Well, thanks for rushing through all that and getting all this stuff prepared for us. It's doing these presentations takes a lot of work, takes a lot of prep work. And, then you've got the mental, put your head in the right place to do a presentation. So, I feel for you, Jama. This is why I get to just say, hey, this is Jama, and she's going to talk about, because I cannot do what you're doing. So
I can go on and on about it. I try to keep it short. I'm a photo nerd. If y'all know me, you'll know that, and I can talk about this stuff for ages. I try to.
So David has a question. Can you tell us what that ring light brand is, just since you're captured? It's right there.
It doesn't say it on that, and the packaging is in my office. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. It doesn't say it on here. The packaging for it sits in my office. I'm in my bedroom. So I don't know. It's linked on my website. I'd have to look.
Okay, yeah. So that's a good point. So if you go to her website, she's done an article on lighting. It's linked there, so you can just jump right onto Amazon. So Chris wants to know, so you can focus any picture with this phone app?
Yep, you can.
Okay, great, perfect. Any other questions, y'all? Anybody? Jama loves questions. Do not be shy.
They can be on anything photography related. They don't have to be on posing. Like I said, when I had a lot more questions when I talked about lighting for you guys. So if they are lighting questions, let me have them.
Or I'm just going to say, or portraits.
Or portraits, yeah. I've been doing this for a long time. All of it's second nature.
So, all right. Well, is there anything else here? I think that is the end of our presentation.
No, Susan was asking other tips for those who wear glasses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So remember when I talked about the neck and the chin and all of that? So all of that applies. I wear glasses. Instead of having glasses pushed up directly, move them down just a hair on your nose. I meant to bring my glasses in here to show you guys, and I'm sorry I did. Move your head in front of the ring light. You'll see it where you see the full circle of the ring light and glare, not good. If you move it just a hair, it's just a fraction, it'll disappear and you'll be lit properly. So just move it instead of directly on, slight little angle, and that'll fix the problem.
Gil has another question. Do you download your photos from your laptop or do you use the Wi-Fi app?
So these pictures that I took here, like this one I took yesterday, the one that's sitting on the screen still, I took yesterday, I just transferred it to my phone from my camera and turned it black and white because, and it might be hard to tell right now, I ran 60 miles in the Texas sunshine on Saturday and my face, and I forgot sunscreen and I never forget sunscreen. My face was lobster red with my raccoon eyes for my sunglasses. And don't ever get sunburned for pictures. It's not flattering. I don't recommend it for anybody. A lot of photographers have a clause in their wedding contracts about that they cannot promise you will look good if you get sunburned on you before your wedding. So I turned it black and white and it hides my sunburn.
Well, that's the sunburn I've ever seen.
It's better today on a Wednesday than it was the other day. It was pretty bad. Sunburn doesn't photograph well, guys. There's a lot of tinkering in Photoshop you have to do to get rid of sunburned skin. So don't do it. I don't recommend it.
Well, maybe we'll have to have you come back and do a portrait on how to do touch-ups and fix skin tones. I would love to know how to do that.
Yeah.
So are there any more questions? Last call for questions. So with that, I'm going to close out this session. I'm going to pop this onto YouTube. Hopefully we will, we did have some sound gaps in here, so hopefully they didn't show up in, on the video, but it's very unpolished and informal, and we're just having a good time. So hopefully you guys
and if you have questions, reach out to me. If something cut out and you want to have questions,
yeah,
how to find me. I'm all over the place and I will answer. Everybody who knows me knows I will help with anything and answer anything. And I will also have this presentation. I am not a video learner. I like reading things. So I will have it up on the website in a form that you can read it for those of you like me who like to read and comprehend better that way.
Jama, would you be able to provide that to me so I can link it to the YouTube? That'd
Yep,
be
I sure can.
great.
And
So
you can link this PDF to it too if you can link PDFs, I don't know. But you can put this up too if you want.
that's great. So you guys, next week, Shari Hunt's going to be with us, and she's going to do Milky Way hunting, I guess, for beginners. And I've been shooting the Milky Way for a little while, but I will be there. And there's so much stuff that I've already forgotten, Shari, so please forgive me. So with that, look for my post on Tuesday at Cousin Linda. And you'll see the lineup, and hopefully by then I will have 1 or 2 more people with their classes up. So there is a question, Shari, from Jamie, and she wants to know if you're going to discuss photo pills. So just kind of let that meld, and maybe she'll be able to, kind of thread that into her presentation, but I suspect that it will come up, Jamie. So, okay, with that, guys, you guys watch the weather. Be careful out there, because I'd love to see you guys back next week. Go ahead and shut us down, Erin. And then for the usuals,